One of the projects I've been working on lately has been that migration from a SharePoint 2007 environment to SharePoint Online. And that's a big jump. There is definitely some knowledge, some understanding that I have from doing SharePoint for so long, but nothing about it is inherently hard. It's not saying somebody could come in or I could go get my 10-year-old kid or my grandma to go do it. You obviously have to have some technology background, but at the end of the day, the hardest part for me wasn't the technology aspect. It wasn't building out some of the functionality in SharePoint Online, doing some of the workflow stuff. It was actually understanding some of that business process and what the client actually wanted at the end of the day once it got into SharePoint Online. Because there's some changes, there's some things, especially around workflow. So the biggest piece of this was a bunch of workflows. SharePoint 2007 workflows into Logic Apps. I think we spent the most time trying to figure out what the 2007 workflows looked like and what the business process and what was going on under the covers there. But then after that, it's just following a bunch of documentation on how to set up different Logic Apps, how to use different actions, some of that type of stuff. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'm kind of thinking out loud as I'm talking through this.
No, you hit that weird inflection point where even within consulting, and perhaps you as an individual consultant and an individual contributor back into your own company, where you really do you've built yourself a little miniature factory, and that's almost where you want other people to come in. Like, okay, I've solved the problem, and now we have this repeatable process to go ahead and make it happen. And then you're just into the day-to-day kind of wear me down, right? You're just grinding the gears of saying like, okay, I figured it out. But really the problem, the thing that we do to solve it is just do this, rinse, repeat, do this, rinse, repeat, do this, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And that's certainly a grinding thing too, right? When you sit back and face some of that. And that's eased a little bit, I think, in some other consultancies where you have varying levels of skill sets where you might have an architect or a designer or someone come in who can kind of lay that foundation of here's the strategy. Maybe not the entire design, but here's a little bit of strategy, have somebody else back in with the design, and then have others back in with the actual implementation of that design and refine that implementation as you go through it.
Yeah, and even in technology, I still remember a story somebody told me once. And I feel like this is becoming more and more true in technology. And in my head, this still rings true with the technology as easy as, and it wasn't even a story about technology. So it's like, hey, Scott, your water softener breaks, your water heater, it's not working. You call somebody to come in and fix it. He walks in the door with a hammer, hits the hot water heater, everything starts working, and like walks out of the house 5 minutes later. You get an invoice the next day for $150. And you're like, the guy was only here for 5 minutes. What did he do? Why is this so expensive? So you call him, you ask him to send you an itemized, detailed list of why it was $150, and he sends you back an invoice and it says $10 for the 5 minutes I was there, $140 for knowing where to hit with the hammer.
Yep.
And I think that's true a lot in technology because people will pay us to do things too that I feel are repetitive. It's like, you know what? I have done this 500 times, but I can do it in 5 minutes because I know exactly how to do it because I've done it 500 times. So I think from that perspective, again, it's easy. Some people just don't want to do it. I do the same thing with my lawn. I can mow my own lawn. I know how to use a lawnmower, a weed whacker, an edger. Frankly, I just don't want to do it. So I pay somebody to do it. And I have no problem with that. And I'm in Florida and it's hot and it's miserable in the summertime. And I have absolutely no desire to be outside. Again, mowing the lawn is easy. I just don't want to do it. Some of the Office 365 stuff is easy. Some of my clients do literally pay me. They're like, I don't want to figure it out. I know how to do it, but I just don't have time. My focus, my expertise is on selling real estate or on working in the oil and gas industry or it's manufacturing. My expertise is not technology, so I just want to pay somebody else to do it because frankly, I just don't want to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. I just want somebody else to go do it for me.